So coming back to the importance of communication skills, now let's look at a more typical example where you have a larger team, you have more players involved, and you have a developer, not a CTO level person, but we could look at it at different levels of sort of communication. But let's say that there's a dev, and let's say that that dev is actually communicating with a PM, so product manager, and not infrequently that product manager is, communicating with either, in the case of if this is in-house, they're communicating with the business, or if in the case of this being more of a consultative relationship and this is sort of a dev team, then they're communicating with the client. And so this could be, I'll put biz co-founder if maybe this is in-house at a startup, or if this is an external relationship, I might call this the SaaS client. Either way, it's the same number of total hops, because you've got that, and then you've got one more hop, which is to the actual customer. So remember, the actual customer, is that much further removed. So now we've got 3 hops. And so in this case, we can see how if the communication is good between each layer, then we've got something like this, which it turns out, so that's 0.64. 0.64 times 0.8, so that's 0.48 plus 0.032. So it's like 0.512. So just over 50% retention of information, again, if everybody's good at communicating. So this 50 to 80% good communicator, someone more average. There's also the case, which we haven't talked about until now, of what about someone who is very poor at communicating? There's that stereotype that many developers are maybe not the strongest with their communication skills. It's not true. I mean, many developers are honestly quite good, but many also are not. We should acknowledge it. And so what if you're at the other extreme? What if you have somebody that is down here, effectively in the basement of communication? And so now we've got that same 0.64, but effectively like divided by 5. So it's roughly 0.13. It's a little less than 0.13, but roughly 0.13. And so, again, huge drop off, obviously 4x drop off, between these two numbers. So again, it shows you your productivity can be crushed by communication skills. And this, of course, is a linear relationship. We're just multiplying the numbers together. But when you take this into the formula of how many iterations does it require to deliver, it grows a little bit more explosively because you're getting a little less done with each chunk. And it's sort of geometric kind of a process where you got to, if you get 0.13 done, then you get 0.13 of the 0.87 that was left over done, and so on. And so it tends to drag out a little bit longer as a result. So you're going to lose a ton of productivity in this way. And this is where folks say, okay, well, you're going to lose a ton of productivity that way, but what if my developer is a much stronger developer? And that's going to make up for it, right? Well, it turns out that to close this gap, this communication gap that was brought on by having a poor developer, you need a 5x boost in dev performance. That's about what it comes to. So a 5x boost, a little greater than the 4x gap we see in the communication. And so that's substantial. Everybody's heard about the so-called 10x developer, but we start to see that the notion of a 10x developer could come from their actual dev performance, or maybe it could come in no small part from their communication performance, while married to, of course, you still have to have a baseline of technical skill, or you can't get anything done. 0 multiplied by all of these numbers is still 0. But if you combine good communication with good dev performance, that's when you start to see not just 5x, you see 10x. You can see a huge boost by going from bad to good communication. That gets you 5x. Now imagine if you paired that with stronger tech skills, and that's where the actual 10x developer comes from.